Okay, number 11. They give us square root of 3 and square root of 10 as two zeros. But remember what I had you write down at the very beginning. Complex and irrational, a square root is an irrational number, come in conjugate pairs. So if positive square root of 3 is a root or a zero, then negative square root of 3 is also a zero. And the same thing goes for the square root of 10. If positive square root of 10 is a zero, then negative square root of 10 is a zero. So this is not going to be a quadratic. This is going to be a fourth degree polynomial. There are 4 zeros here, even though they only gave us 2. Anytime you have a square root or an I, the conjugate pair has got to be another zero or a root. Okay, so let's build this. We've got x minus the square root of 3, x plus the square root of 3. You do want to pair those together. Okay, you do want to pair those together. We've got x minus the square root of 10 times x plus the square root of 10. You do want to pair those together, because what we have is the difference of perfect squares. So the outside and the inside is going to cancel. This isn't really going to be that bad, okay? So let's look at this. If we FOIL x minus the square root of 3 times x plus the square root of 3, x times x is x squared. The outside and the inside cancel because we've got positive square root of 3x, negative square root of 3 of x, so they cancel, and then a negative times a positive is a negative. What's the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? 3, okay? The square root of something times the square root of the same thing is just that thing. All right, we want to do the same thing with x minus the square root of 10 and x plus the square root of 10. X times x is x squared. The outside and the inside cancel. A negative times a positive is a negative, and square root of 10 times square root of 10 is 10. So now our square roots are gone. It's not that bad. Square roots are gone. And then we just need to FOIL out this result. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. We've got minus 10x squared minus 13x squared, so minus 10 and minus 3 makes minus 13. And negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30. And again, you can check it, okay? Take the square root of 3, store it as x, and then type in our polynomial, x to the 4th minus 13x squared plus 30. Whoops. We get 0, okay? So, pretty cool how that happens. Let's look at number 12. Okay, number 12, a little bit more complicated, just a little bit, than number 10. The same premise though, okay? If 2 plus the square root of 7 is a root, then, and this is what we have to do, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write it this way. X minus 2 plus the square root of 7. Notice my parentheses here. You may want to do this one on a separate sheet of paper because it's probably not going to fit in that little tiny space that I have there. If you're not already writing on the sheet of paper, just so you know, I'm going to have to go down the side over here. Okay? Write it like this. Put the root, put the 0 in parentheses, and there's a minus sign in front of it because the sign always changes, right? Okay, its conjugate, the minus right there does not change. What does change is the sign in front of the square root. Okay, so we're still x minus, but it's 2 minus the square root of 7 is the conjugate. The conjugate changes the sign in front of the square root. Okay, let's just work this part out, and then we'll deal with the 1 plus the square root of 5. Okay, so let's see how I want to do this. Okay, let's do this. See how I have that extra set of parentheses in there? We're going to distribute that negative. Okay, we're going to distribute that negative. So it's x minus 2 minus the square root of 7, dropping the parentheses. and then it's x minus 2 plus the square root of 7. Okay, now, we haven't done one of these, but that's what I was getting ready to do on the board a second ago. A trinomial times a trinomial, okay? Nothing changes. We've just got to distribute everything in the first set of parentheses to everything in the second set of parentheses. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. X times the positive square root of 7 is the positive square root of 7x. Then distribute the negative 2 to everything. Negative 2 times x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 times the square root of 7. And then I'm going to run out of room, but distribute the negative square root of 7 to everything. Negative square root of 7x plus 2 square roots of 7 minus, because it's a negative times a positive, square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is 7. Now, does anything cancel? Okay, we've got 2 square roots of 7. We have a negative version and we have a positive version. Anything else? The square root of 7x, positive and a negative. But other than that, we can just combine like terms. X squared minus 4x, okay, and 4 minus 7 is negative 3. So we went from something super complicated with the square root and all that stuff, and it boils down to x squared minus 4x minus 3. Okay? Let's see if we can do the same thing with the other one. Okay, the 1 plus the square root of 5. So we've got x minus 1 minus the square root of 5, x minus 1 plus the square root of 5. Let's multiply it out real quick. X times x, x squared. I need to slide over if I didn't learn my lesson the first time. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1, negative x. X times the square root of 5 plus the square root of 5x. Distribute the negative 1. Minus x plus 1 minus the square root of 5. Distribute the negative square root of 5. Negative square root of 5x plus the square root of 5 minus 5. What cancels? Pretty much every time the square root stuff is what's going to cancel. So we've got x squared minus 2x, 1 minus 5 is negative 4. So the last thing we got to do, I know this was a long one, we've got to multiply these two quadratics, and that will give us our final answer. Okay, so we've got x to the 4th minus 2x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x cubed plus 8x squared plus 16x minus 3x squared plus 6x plus 12. Last thing, almost there, combine like terms. X to the 4th minus 6x cubed. We've got a bunch of x squares. Let me underline them so I don't lose them. Minus 4 plus 8 is plus 4. Minus 3 is plus 1. X is 16 and 6, so 22x plus 12. Woo! We made it. So